Good morning, Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. Let's talk for a minute about thriving. I looked in the dictionary, the word thrive, and there's actually two definitions that caught my eye. One is to flourish vigorously. And I like that, flourishing vigorously. I think about businesses that flourish vigorously. I think about lives and our personal lives. We're thriving if we're flourishing vigorously. Another definition that came to my mind was one that says thrivers are those who make steady progress. So when I put those two together, really vigorously flourishing is an outcome of making steady progress. Well, how do you make steady progress? One of the great mantras, you've heard me say it before, and of course it comes from Dan Sullivan and his laws of lifetime growth, and that is always make your learning greater than the experience. Well, we've had an experience recently with the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl, if you love football, you had to love that game, regardless of who you're cheering for. Now, think about the learning in that game. Think about a concept about laying blame. In life, things don't always go the way that they're expected to go. And when they do, it's not uncommon for people to start pointing their fingers and to lay blame. And certain people say, well, he was a great person because he took the blame upon himself. He was a great leader because he took the blame upon himself. I don't think blame has a role anywhere in our growth and in our learning and in thriving. If we're going to vigorously flourish, if we're going to keep at a steady pace, if we're going to continue to grow at a steady pace, then laying blame has no place in that whatsoever. What does have a place is taking responsibility. Leaders take responsibility for their actions. Leaders celebrate their actions, and celebration is just an outward display of gratitude. As you know, the conversation around the water cooler this morning, or since last night, I'm sure, I know that we got besieged with a lot of different texts and messages saying, oh my gosh, they blew it, and on and on and on and on. What a call, what's wrong with them? And the reality is that it comes down to that was a game of learning and experience. And how grateful to be able to participate, and how many people get to coach in the Super Bowl? How many people get to play in the Super Bowl? How many people get that experience? And what an experience to learn from. And so I watched Pete Carroll, who is the head coach. And those of you that don't know, for Seattle, it came down to one play at the end that they could have either win or lose the game, but that one play, many people will say, cost them the game. Hey, they played 60 minutes. There were a lot of plays in that game. Good ones, bad ones, poor performance, good performance, learning, learning, learning. Always make your learning greater than the experience. And so that one play, people will be pointing to for years and years. And I won't even watch ESPN right now. I didn't dare turn on because they're just going to continue to talk about that and beat that thing to death. And I've got more important things to do. But think about leadership and thriving. And one thing I did notice is that Pete Carroll stood up as the head coach of the team and says, I take responsibility. He didn't blame himself. He said, I take responsibility. And, the same thing is with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson said, I hate to lose. I hate to lose. But he tweeted out this morning that said, every setback has a major comeback. And so he's got a leadership frame of mind. All right, we had the experience. We learned from it. We move on. Really, when you take responsibility, taking responsibility is a form of gratitude. Laying blame is just the opposite. So, and looking at this and think about this as it relates to your life. What are the challenges that you're having in your life? Are you laying blame? Are you putting it out there, or are you taking responsibility? Be grateful for the learning opportunities in your life. Be grateful for these experiences that seem like setbacks, because major setbacks can become major comebacks. Enjoy this week. This is a great year. Make it meaningful, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.